stand, gonna find a way to change the game. You tell me that I should stay, trust what you say and that it's all okay. But everything starts to feel like a con, and I'm the pawn, am I right or wrong?
Knock on, everybody.
Well, I'm excited to say welcome back to another season of Knock On. For this first episode, we're going to kick things off right with two amazing hunts from right here in my home state of Iowa. Myself and my good buddy Waylon take two absolute giants that show up out of the blue. You know, sometimes the best bucks are the ones that you have no history with. And after that, I'm going to continue to educate all you and make you better bow hunters and better archers by giving you informative segments, one of which a brand new segment that I'm super excited about called Knocked and Ready to Rock. So get ready, everyone, for another awesome season of Knock On. Very, very windy morning here in Iowa. November 3rd, the kickoff of the best time of the year in my opinion. And got a brand new Hoyt Nitram. I've got some Iowa tags. It's a new season of Knock On. And I'm hoping for a big buck. Let's see what happens. Self-film. Can't afford a camera guy. And all my good camera guys are hunting. I don't blame them. This hunt started out with me hearing one of the longest grunts I've ever heard in the wild, and I finally got my eyes on an unknown giant to my woods. As you can tell, I'm in some of the thickest timber I've got, which is where I really like to be during the peak rut, but filming myself in this kind of thickness was near impossible. This was a buck that I've got no history with other than a few photos that I'd got on a food plot about a week earlier. I figured he was just cruising through the area on random, but lo and behold, here he was in my timber on the first hot doe of the season. This buck was zigzagging constantly behind this hot doe that's in front of him, but I was doing my best to try to get the camera into the one lane where I could finally get a shot.
Yeah! That is my big one. That's why we keep these spots untouched until the right day. Had the right wind, the timing's right, one small doe, and the biggest buck I think I've ever killed, and a ripper shot. Ripper shot. Yeah! Unbelievable. Blood everywhere. Whoa. Oh my gosh. He's a 7x9 or a 9x5. And he's got a horn in his jaw. Oh my gosh. I might have a bonus antler. Oh gosh. Oh man. So thankful. I'm gonna get Sharon, and what do you think of Knock On Season 5 right now? That's what I thought. I like it too.
Knock On TV is brought to you by Hoyt. Get serious, get Hoyt. Under Armour, always lethal. Lancaster Archery Supply. Redneck Bail Blinds. Sherlock Hunting Sights. Nocturnal Lighted Knocks. Fuse Hunting Accessories.
and Yamaha ATVs and side-by-sides, real world tough.
Brand new Hoyt Nitro, first hunt with it.
That's my biggest buck with a bow. Big time, buddy.
Smoked him. That heart beating on him. We just broke the new Nitro in, baby. And son of a gun, we just come in here and cook this cornbread.
Gonna put another buck in the truck with my new Hoyt Nitro.
Get serious, get Hoyt.
The future of concealment technology has arrived. Ridge Reaper Camo. Under Armour has spent the last few years developing this pinnacle camouflage system because concealment is, and always will be, a necessity in the field. Able to work at a variety of ranges and in multiple environments, the pattern utilizes two key techniques. Coincidental disruption uses irregular shapes and angles to obscure the hunter's silhouette against a multitude of environments, giving prey little to no chance of identifying the hunter's shape or position. The second technique the pattern employs is a unique no-background color algorithm. By utilizing contextual color theory and a variety of gradation, the pattern creates a complex illusion of depth, as well as conforming to the wide range of tints, tones, and shades present in the field. These techniques create a one-of-a-kind pattern that changes the game in concealment technology. Go where you don't belong.
Field Recon.
I thought a really cool segment for all you guys is what's in my pack, because I get a lot of questions on how I film myself, what equipment I take, and also just what I take out on several of my hunts. So I'm going to show you my pack. My pack is an Under Armour 1800. This is an awesome pack that's been developed over the last few years, incorporating a lot of things that I really like as a hunter and as a guy that films myself. First off, you'll see there's two side pockets that have kind of an elasticy bottom as well as an elastic cord on the top. I can set my horns in there, I can stretch the cord over one of the antlers, and they're perfectly secure. It's hard to find a way to fasten your horns to a backpack, so this is awesome. On the other side, I slide my tree arm in there. It slides right in, perfectly secure. On both of my, my waist strap belt pockets, on one side I've got my knife, my archery tags, as well as some zip strips. Those are always useful. I always have my tags on me because I always have my backpack. In the pocket on the opposite side, I have two screw-in steps because there's a lot of times I'll get into a stand and I'll need a place to hang my backpack, or if I'm using a stand that I'm unfamiliar with and the steps going up are not safe, it's always awesome to have a few extra steps with you so that you can get in there safely. In this main front pocket right here, I have my grunt tube, another knife, as well as my lights and extra batteries. And one important tip I can give you is try to utilize headlamps that have the same batteries, because that way you only have to take a few batteries with you when you're going on a hunt. If you're on an elk hunt and you have a GPS, if it takes AAA's, find a headlamp that takes AAA's, or vice versa. That way you're only ever toting one set of spare batteries. Now in this top pocket here, I've got a spare battery for my cell phone as well as a lighter. Two things that I think are always important to have with you on a hunt. On this top pocket here, I've got an extra headlamp which I can easily put on if I need, as well as an extra bow rope with a carabiner clip. So if I get to a stand and it doesn't have a bow rope, I'll go ahead and put this on there. And also it's super safe to get in the habit of lowering your backpack down instead of climbing up and down with that backpack, because once you're up in the tree, if you did fall, you're not falling with that extra 20 or 30 pounds on your back. So then in my main compartment here, I've got my camera, which I always put my beanie around my camera to protect it. And lastly, I've got my camera arm. Fits perfectly right inside there. I also, in this main compartment here, I'll take a saw and a pair of trimmers, and I have an extra bow hanger. So I mean, that's pretty much it. My backpack's got everything that I need right in there. It's pretty much grab and go. I guess the last thing that I have is I always take an extra carabiner clip with me. You never know when you're gonna get to a tree and there's either one knot on there or you're with a buddy that's forgot one. It's an awesome pack, and it's an awesome way to pack it. Try it out. I was able to go to a stand that I had set this summer in what I call a rut corridor, and those are those thick areas where the does like to go with the bucks when they first start chasing them. Sometimes the mature bucks will take does into those thick areas to try to tend them and keep them from going out to the other bucks. But I had a perfect wind, little cold fronts coming in, the wind's changing direction. It was a perfect day to sit all day long. And luckily I didn't need to do it, because by about 9 o'clock, this giant came in with that little doe. So thanks to the does for sure. And once again, having the right equipment is what bailed me out of a not so perfect shot. This year I'm shooting a Hoyt Nitram 34. I'm shooting an 80-pound bow because with the new cam system, I feel like I can pull it easily. And I'm shooting a 530 grain Easton Axis arrow with a 100 grain broadhead and a 75 grain brass insert. My arrow weighs 530 grains and it's shooting 292 feet per second. That's 100.37 pounds of kinetic energy. Just an absolute destroyer. Completely devastated that front arm, and I was able to get a recovery on a true buck of a lifetime. And just the absolute best way to start a fantastic season 5 of Nock On. Closed captioning brought to you by Red Willow Outfitters, Alberta's premier hunting destination, offering quality hunts for over 20 years.
The Yamaha Viking, and introducing the all-new Viking 6. The hardest working, most off-road capable side-by-sides in America. Built for the hardest working people on earth. You.
The new Block Vault is the most technologically advanced archery target ever built. The four-sided shooting lets you shoot it close, long, precise, and real. Shoot field tips, broadheads, and expandables. Block Vault's high-density open-layered core and polyfusion design stops all high-speed bows and smaller diameter arrows with friction, not force. Block Vault. Get locked in.
Dead Center.
For these first few Dead Center segments, I want to talk about some important aspects to having proper shooting form. As many of you know from previous Dead Center segments, I'm a firm believer in having a shot routine. My shot routine focuses on 6 steps that I do each and every shot. My stance, my grip, my shoulder position, my anchor, my peep, and then I focus on continuing to pull until I shoot and I have proper follow through. That's my shot routine and the steps that I think each and every arrow. I want to go a little bit more in depth with a few of those key elements, starting first with your stance. A lot of people don't realize that your stance changes a lot of things with your archery form. It's no different than a professional golfer or professional baseball player. When they address a ball or they address the batter's box, they have to look down at their feet and make sure they're in the proper position each and every shot. Now, when it comes to archery form, I like to teach what's called a neutral stance, and that's your toes being in perfect alignment or having the toe of your front foot in line with the ball of your rear foot. which is just a slightly open stance. What that does is when your feet are in those proper positions and you raise your arm to shoot, it gives you perfect clearance for your string path. The more you close your stance, the more you bring your shoulder into the path of that arrow. So if sometimes you pull back and you whack your arm and sometimes you don't, it could be just a simple thing of you didn't look down at your feet. A bad habit a lot of people make is pulling back to shoot and then changing their foot position. The best thing to do is to look down at your feet right away. You don't want to have too open of a stance because that creates too big of a triangle on this front part of your arm. And again, you don't want the closed stance, which brings this front shoulder directly into the path of the string. You want a neutral stance. Simply look down at your feet and make sure your toes are at least in line. If you do that, you're going to be one step closer to putting every arrow right in the middle. Expand your archery knowledge with Nock On Podcasts, the highest level of world-class archery information available on either iTunes or at nockon.podbean.com.
Well, it's late October. The bucks are just starting to get on their feet pretty good. I had a good encounter this morning with a buck that I call Locust. He absolutely blew up into a giant this year. He was with a doe and she busted me. I didn't see her, but I had an idea where they're going to bed up, so I'm right below them right now. I got some turnips out in front of me with some corn that I planted this early spring, so hopefully she comes in and he follows right behind her. Stick with me. Meh. That's my #1 hit lister, Locust. Self-film, baby. Well, here he is. He was the #1 this year on this side of the farm. I actually encountered him this morning. A doe came through with him and she totally busted me. I didn't see her and I tried to spin around and get ready for a shot for him. And I knew the area that they were going, so I set up on them tonight. I had corn out of the bale blind and some turnips, and as luck would have it, the doe came out first, and sure enough, he jumped the fence right behind her. 35-yard shot. The old Locust buck. He's got some trash on him. October has been good to me. Knock and roll.
Be sure to visit nockonarchery.com to see our entire line of Nock On lifestyle clothing, as well as some awesome Nock On gear and accessories that I personally take to the field myself. Enter promo code SHOWFAN and I'll include a free signed photo. Also remember that all U.S. orders over 100 get free shipping. nockonarchery.com. For over 30 years, Lancaster Archery Supply has practiced the values of integrity, caring, and excellence to archery customers. Discover the largest online selection of bows, arrows, and archery accessories at lancasterarchery.com. Call on our archery experts for expert advice on all your archery needs.
If you want the best service and gear, then visit Lancaster Archery Supply, America's largest archery-only supplier.
Lancaster Archery Supply.
He's the buck you've been after all season. You see him in the middle of the field every day. The problem is a stand isn't an option. What's a hunter to do? Get a redneck bail blind, that's what you do. The ultimate in stealth and concealment. The redneck bail blind features a sturdy metal frame, a hand-sewn water-resistant cover, and silent slide windows, all in a spacious blind that wildlife adapt to instantly, putting you in the heart of the action. The redneck bail blind. Problem solved. Register online to win your very own at redneckblinds.com.
Nocturnal lighted Nocks feature a linear string-activated switch for simple, fail-proof performance. Hidden deep within the Nock, the switch will not turn on or off until you need it to. The completely sealed weatherproof battery keeps the super bright LEDs lit for over 20 hours to make sure you always find your arrow and your game. Nocturnal lighted Nocks, switch on accuracy.
Nocked and ready to rock.
Welcome to the new series, Nocked and Ready to Rock. And this is going to be an awesome series that's going to literally take a brand new bow out of the box and have it totally field ready by the end of this season of Nock On. So you're going to want to make sure that you set your recorders so that you're going to continually be able to watch exactly what we do each episode. Now, the first thing that we need to go over before we start setting up our bow is the bow press, because a bow press can literally make or break your archery equipment. Now, a lot of the newer style bows are designed much differently than ones several years ago, and a lot of the newer presses are made specifically for all these newer bows. So if you do have a current bow, say within the last 7 or 8 years, you're going to want to make sure that you look at getting the correct press. This is an X-Press Pro. I've used X-Press models for almost a decade now, and I really like how they function. This X-Press Pro is extremely safe, it's easy to use, and what I really like about it is that it is designed specifically to simply flex the limb and not put pressure on the riser. A lot of the older style models that are out there, they either had wheels that pressed on the riser or a strap that pulled down on the center of the grip, and that put a tremendous amount of load on the riser itself. And on a lot of the newer style bows, you can actually damage that riser by using those older presses. One great thing that you can do throughout this whole series is you can go onto lancasterarchery.com and go to their Pro Picks page and select myself, John Dudley, and you'll be able to monitor every single piece of archery equipment that I buy for my personal use. I think this is great because I constantly get asked what type of new equipment that I'm trying, and this part of their website allows you to monitor that. Now, another thing is, if you're not using a Hoyt, you can go to the X-Press website and you'll be able to see a number of videos that I've done in very specific detail on how to set up an X-Press exactly for different types of bows that are on the market. So you can make sure that you're doing it perfectly the right way. Now, what I've done here is I've adjusted these inside holders as far out on the riser as possible. I'm actually right in the same position as when this limb is pivoting on the limb pocket. Then I've adjusted this wheel, which pushes on the limb, directly below the axle and also completely free of the cam. That's two things that you really need to know when adjusting this top portion of a bow press. You don't ever want to push on a cam, you don't ever want to press on an axle or any type of metal device that some companies have up here for either string dampening devices or even limb holders that some companies have. So you can see that I'm free of the axle, free of the cam. I've gone ahead and moved this out here to the pivot point of the limb. I've secured this, and then a few turns of this press and my string is already depressed and we're completely ready to work on this bow. So make sure you do some research, get the right press, and make sure you set that recorder, because by the end of this season, I'll guarantee you, you're going to be an at-home bow mechanic pro.